Perfect.
Yes, we came as a group together. So yes, there was definitely people there supporting me in the audience, accruing debt that I can't pay. So donate to my Cash App because that'll help me pay my car off sooner. So I won't take up too much space about the election, as I know that people are tired of hearing about it and just ready for it to get over. But I am definitely voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. People have alternating opinions about that, but I'm literally picking the lesser of two evils. I'd rather sit with the top cop and the "you're not black if you don't vote for me" in office than a recognized and well-known white supremacist. People don't realize we have a literal white supremacist in the White House. So while they spend so much energy and time dragging Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for their very problematic viewpoints on a lot of policies and just how they've shown up in spaces previously, I would rather that, honestly, than the white supremacist that's in office. The literal white supremacist that's in office. So we really have to start picking the lesser of two evils. He invigorates white supremacists. People know that if they hold his flag, that people view them a certain way. So why would I want to perpetuate that? Why would I want to give him more fuel? He doesn't care about black people. He doesn't care about indigenous people. He doesn't care about Latinx people. He doesn't care about Asian people. He doesn't care about Indian people. He doesn't care about people of color in general. So I am not going to invigorate Trump. And I don't love either candidate, but it's a matter of whose followers have actively called me the N-word and actively threw bananas at us in the plaza during their Trump car parade. So how do you identify? I identify as she, they. I identify as a woman. I don't identify as non-binary, but I don't mind if people refer to me as they. And yeah, I currently identify as straight. So yeah, but we all know that gender and sexuality are fluid, and that can change at the drop of a hat. What's your biggest goal for law enforcement? My biggest goal is to abolish the policing system in general. The policing system here in America is directly derivative of slavery. It didn't start until after slavery was ended and they wanted a way to keep black people enslaved even more. So we can't try to reform something that literally came about to enslave black people. I don't want police. I think that the world would be better off. They suck up. Chicago police officers, police department receives, I believe, $1.7 billion a year. Kansas City Police Department received $273 million, and I believe our school systems received around $225 million. Meanwhile, houseless initiatives here in Kansas City received $2 million. $2 million. Mind you, if you drive around this city, you will encounter so many houseless people here in this city. So many houseless people in this city. So the fact that they spent $2 million on that and $273 million on the police department, who haven't stopped not one of the 154 homicides that have occurred this year, is really telling. Someone said gender is fluid. Can you please explain? Yes, you could wake up one day and decide that you want to be male identifying or you want to be female identifying. So it's fluid, meaning that it's not, a guy could be queer at age 20, straight at age 60, queer at age 70. It's fluid. So there's no real saying oh, I'm straight. It's either communism. And it's crazy because the American school system taught us so much hatred towards communism. They told us it was bad and bad. It's not. It's really not. It's the idea that everyone should have a house, food, things to eat, clothing to wear. So the fact that America despises communism so much is really telling, because they would rather people sit and sleep on the concrete. If you go up the street from my job here, there's a housing encampment under a bridge. They sleep under a bridge every night. So America would rather keep capitalism in the forefront of everyone's mind, to think like, oh, I need to get rich, and then I won't be like those houseless people. No, everyone deserves a house, irregardless of whether you're LeBron James or you're a random man on the street. So yes, I would be in total favor of communism if it means everyone in America has a house, has clothing, has food, has access to water, medicine, anything that they need. I would definitely be willing to make $50,000 a year or just a flat out amount if it means that everyone can get what they need. So yes, communism, and that's on period. That's on period. I wish there was a more organized way that Instagram had of managing these. I will try, y'all. You have to be 35 to run for president, but I will definitely try when that time comes. I do have political aspirations here in Kansas City if the people see me fitting. Like, I grew up in Savannah, Georgia on the south side, so we weren't rich, but we weren't poor for a part of my life, and then for the other part of my life, we were like detrimentally poor. My grandmother was like the driving force in my family that really made sure that we had a house over our head. But I won't dive too much into that. But yeah, I started working at 16 at Kmart, and I've hustled ever since then. Like, I have my own car, 912 Seaport, Savannah, Georgia. I got my own car, like, I got my own laptop, like, I've funded myself through school. Like, I've really worked for every dime that I had, and it's no shade to my mom, who's worked hard, who's worked overtime to ensure that her kids had a successful childhood, but everyone falls short. So yeah. Other than voting, what steps do you feel like the Black community needs to take to see change? I think the Black community really has to come together as a conglomerate and just decide whether or not we want to reform this system or if we want to abolish it. I'm for abolishing the police. I don't believe that you can reform something that wasn't made equal. It's like starting a gang and then being like, oh, well, we're going to reform ourselves so that we're a less violent gang. It doesn't undo all the evil that you've done. And so, yeah, I think we need to come together as a conglomerate and start showing up. I really don't ask a lot of Black people because our existence is a protest. Being alive is a protest in America. So even us getting up and going to work every day, that's a protest. So I don't really get offended when it's mostly white people at these protests. They should be on the front lines. White people should be on the front lines for Black lives. So yeah, I would love to see more Black people out, but as my sister Nikki of Operation Liberation told me, we don't even get our basic needs met. It's Black people out here with lights off, who don't have food, who are trying to find transportation for their kids to and from school in the middle of a global pandemic. So I'm not going to ask more of them by telling them, oh, it's your responsibility to come to this protest because I want you there. When we start meeting people's basic needs and they don't have to worry about finding childcare to come to a protest, don't have to worry about lights coming on or lights off when they go home from the protest, then people will start showing up in numbers. But yeah, I love Black people, and yeah. I do not have to feed and clothe and take care of and nourish and grow and maintain this child for the rest of its life. So I will not force another woman to keep a child if they do not wish to. It's none of my damn business. Do what you want. If you want to have the baby, I will show up for your baby shower. If you do not want the baby, I will support you any way that I can. Post that, because that's a traumatic experience in and of itself. We don't even have our basic needs met. So maybe if women had, stable housing, non-domestically abusive partners, access to child care, a good paying job to pay for children, then maybe the abortion rate will slow down. But I don't want to start I don't want to criminalize that or say it needs to slow down. People can do whatever they want to. That's none of my business. And that's on period. I love that quote so much. I'm sorry. Yes, I am religious. I am a Christian. I'm a professing Christian. I follow liberation theology, so that's the belief that Jesus would be out in the people. I don't believe that Jesus was a white man. I don't believe that Jesus would condone or condemn women for getting abortions, because the Bible says not to judge, but all of these picketing Christians don't realize that when you put your opinion on a picket sign and then you stand outside of an abortion clinic and condemn women and yell at them and scream at them and call them names and no abortion, that's judging. 1. 2, who is going to come to church if you acting like that? How about you say, is there anything that I could do for you that you would want to keep this child? But picketing outside and calling women whores and all of this is not my version of Christianity. It's just not. So do you believe black men do an adequate job protecting black women? No. Black women have been and always will be our own saviors. Although we're sometimes villainized in the media and we see Love and Hip Hop and we see Real Housewives and we kind of think, oh wow, black women are each other's biggest enemy. But no, black women in this movement here in Kansas City and Operation Liberation, it's time for justice, Real Justice Network, etc., etc., etc. Black women, Casey Tenets, black women have been the only one to show up for me. Not saying, hey, I'm here for you, because black men love using, and then when I say black men, I'm usually referring to college educated black men. So college educated black men love to use Malcolm X quote, the most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most disrespected America is a black woman. I don't even know the quote. I kind of forgot it because I was just like, I don't need college educated black men feeding me quotes about how unprotected I am. How about you get up and protect me? And it's crazy because my first night, I guess, on 35th and Prospect, I was out there with an activist named Troy Robertson, and I was out there by myself, and another activist was about to leave, and she was like, be safe out here, do you want me to stay with you? And then I don't even want to start on that, but a hood black man was like, let one of these niggas get shot messing with her out here. And I would never be in favor of anyone shooting anyone, in my defense especially. But it just shows how hood black men will show up for black women, will go to war for black women. And although not all of them are perfect, I won't say all of them are perfect, or it's not misogyny, patriarchy, homophobia, transphobia in the black community, specifically in the hood black community, but they do show up for black women. To keep going and make GoFundMes, make as many GoFundMes as you need to. I made a GoFundMe early in the summer as I was moving from Atchison, Kansas to here. Ask people to Cash App you any chance you get. Allies here in Kansas City, they are very financially supportive to me particularly. I can't speak on anyone else, but they are very financially supportive. So if your head is underwater and you need that financial support, ask for it. This is reparations time. This is not time for people to be selfish. We're in a global pandemic. And then also, girl, do Instacart. I do Instacart, y'all. People don't know that about me. I literally do Instacart. I might have to slow down because I am pretty active in the movement here, and I know a lot of people in some of these grocery stores recognize me, especially since I counter protested the Trump parade. Yeah, ever since I counter protested the Trump parade, I realized that a lot of people started looking at me sideways, and it's because they recognized me from the counter protest of the Trump parade. So I'll answer this one. Was they laughing at you? They definitely were. Mark Tolbert, pastor at Victorious Life Church on 34th of Paseo, like I said, Mark Tolbert was definitely smiling, but I think his smiling and like laughing was more because he was uncomfortable that he was getting called out and I was dragging all of them. And I could kind of see some contention between Quentin Lucas and Nathan Garrett anyways. So I think Nathan may just be a racist and just hate the two black board members anyways. But that doesn't make me no, never mind. I don't care if they're laughing. A kiki, like I said at the end of the video, a kiki. What brings you joy? Y'all, I really don't know. Like, being out on 35th and Prospect brings me joy. I just love being around black people. I just love being comfortable and feeling safe around black people. I just love being in community with black people. I love showing up for black people. I just love being on 35th and Prospect. I love being east of Truce. I just love being in community with black people. That's genuinely what brings me joy. I'd rather sit up in a trap house than a boardroom any day, and I'll tell you that. I'll tell anybody that any day. I would literally rather. I hate it. I despise cultural appropriation and the appropriation of African American vernacular English. So basically, when we be talking like this, and you know, it's certain Instagram influencers like Bad Baby who still our language, still how we talk, this, that, and the third. So I hate cultural appropriation. I feel like if it's not yours, don't wear it. Not wear it. It's been times where I was like, wow, that Native American outfit would look super cute, or like I have this crop top, I don't want to throw it away. I would rather give it to a woman of Asian descent or a person of Asian descent. It's like made of Chinese silk, and it's like red and gold and stuff, and it's very obviously cultural appropriation. So I still haven't worn it, excuse me. What is my position on the hostility between black women activists? I really don't think there's a hostility. It's a matter of black women doing all the work and black men getting all the credit. Black women doing all the work behind the scenes, showing up to these protests, putting themselves in front of black men only to be disrespected, laughed at, and receive none of the credit 100% of the other time. So there's definitely not any hostility. It's a matter of accountability and holding people accountable for what they say and do, and treating black women with respect and holding us up on a pedestal. You know, a lot of black men don't conform to the idea that black women should be uplifted in any spaces, so they really make a conscientious effort to drag us down and try to humble us. I had a black man try to humble me today, and it didn't work, and that's on period. So I don't think there's any hostility. So What do you think about homophobia in the Black community? Why is toxic hypermasculinity so prevalent in our community? I think homophobia in any community is trash. It sucks. Trash. Get it on out of there. I don't identify as queer, but I will show up for my queer brothers, sisters, and non-binary folks any day of the week. So, yeah, I think homophobia needs to be abolished. Really, I don't know what else to say, but I was told like a lot of Black men don't understand the gravity of their situation, the gravitas of homophobia, because it feels good to oppress someone else. So you'll see a lot of Black men who treat queer Black men how white men treat Black men in general. So they treat queer Black men how white men treat Black men in general. So they use any opportunity they get to call them out, drag them, mistreat them. So it needs to stop. A lot of people, and somebody says those are her experiences. You can't tell her they aren't true. I'm really not even reading comments, so I don't even know what people are saying, but whatever. And toxic masculinity is so prevalent in our culture and our community because a lot of Black men haven't really had the financial, the emotional, the mental stability to not be toxically masculine. A lot of people don't a lot of Black men, I will say Black men, a lot of Black men just don't understand the gravitas and the logic behind someone else living their truth freely. So this is from my sister AJ. Go follow her right now. Literally, she's Miss Haskell at Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. She's awesome. She's a queen. That's on period. That's on period. So how do you think Black, Indigenous, and people of color can work together again to address injustices more efficiently without letting differences get in the way? I think that we do that pretty well in our organization. We're really just starting out, but I think it's just showing up for whatever people need us to show up for and not really playing a game of like who has it worse, because as minorities we all have it trash. We all have it bad. So I don't really like to play the, oh, well, I have it worse, you have it worse. It's just like, what are we going to do about it? How can I support? And that's what we going to do. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to find the good comments. Are you ever fearful of backlash after pointing the blatant racist behavior in today's society? Absolutely not. I will never be fearful of calling people to the carpet, of holding people accountable for what they do and say. My people are dying. Indigenous people are dying. Latinx people are dying and being kidnapped at the border. African people are dying and being kidnapped at the border. So I am never fearful. What is there to be scared of? We have nothing to lose for but our chains. So once people adopt that mentality that we really don't have anything to lose, we as Black people don't have a thing in this country. We don't have a thing except our culture that white capitalists profit off of more than we do. All of your favorite rappers, Lil Yachty, who posted my video, shout out to him, Lil Pump, I don't even know a lot, NLE Choppa, they all work for white men at the end of the day. So
Rage on that beat, going crazy.